Hey, what's going on, everybody? Austin back with Killshot's Geek Garage, and today, we did our oil change the day before, and now this has happened. The rear air suspension is gone. So, give you kind of the rundown what happened. We were driving back from my son's baseball game when all of a sudden our rear air suspension dropped to the pavement. Obviously, you can see front air suspension still working perfectly fine, but both rear airbags dropped to the ground. So what we're going to do today is we're going to diagnose the problem. There's a couple of codes that did come up on the vehicle, and I'm going to show you kind of the rundown of what they are and my theories of what it could be. Now, obviously, there's a lot of components to an air suspension system, but we're going to try to figure it out, narrow it down, and repair the problem. Alright, so I'll kind of give you an example of what's going on with the vehicle right now. Whenever you go to turn it on, alright, you can hear the air suspension running, trying to lift up the rear airbags now. So obviously compressor's still going, it's still working, but boom, malfunction light on the dashboard, and the rear air suspension will not go up. So what we're going to do is we're going to hook up our scan tool. Now, this is not my scan tool, this is a friend of mine's, and he came to my rescue with dropping this by so I can go on ahead and pull the codes and show y'all kind of a diagnostic process on how to pull this up here. So whenever you're first plugging this in, you're going to go underneath. Now, depending on the vehicle, it could be in different locations, but this one is right here next to your hood release handle. You can see that the connector is right there. We're going to go on ahead and plug it in. Boom, good connection, green light lit up. And we're going to jump back into the vehicle, grab our scan tool, and we're going to start the scanner up. Now, we're going to go through, hang on just a second, turn those off right there so y'all don't have this glare. We're going to go through this and go all the way down to Mercedes. Yes, that is the vehicle. Alright, so you can either scan for all the codes, you can either clear the codes, engine, transmission, anti-lock brakes, airbags, but what we're going to do is air suspension. Boom, hit that. Boom, continue. And sorry about the focus because it's zooming in on, it's on one of these screens. It kind of cuts out every now and then. And we're going to go to our codes. And boom, there it is. There's an issue with the compressed air sensor for the pressure has a malfunction. There is an implausible signal. So obviously, it's showing that there's no pressure getting through, which would make sense on why my suspension dropped to the pavement while I was driving. Now, that doesn't normally happen if your airbag has gone out or leaks. Usually your airbag will refill because normally it's like a pinhole that happens on these, and it will leak out whenever you turn off the vehicle. But this happens while it's running, and the compressor is no longer pulling air into it. So I'm going to show y'all where the compressor is at, and we're going to kind of take a stab at what this could possibly be and what's causing all these issues. Alright, so whenever you're looking at your GL450, this is the passenger front side of the vehicle. Your compressed air, or your air compressor system for your suspension, is going to be right underneath this panel here. So what you're going to need to do is drop this out. There's going to be multiple screws. This panel is actually off on its own, but I would recommend dropping this middle panel right here in the front center, and then dropping out this right side panel, or at least pulling it then out of the way, since it looks like actually this one's attached to the fender liner. So pulling it back and out the way so you can get to everything that's down there and check out the airlines and all the other components. So instead of going from underneath, we're going to go from in the fender well. Now that's going to make it a lot easier to get to the air compressor because it's right behind this panel. But luckily with the fender liner, it's only a half piece. You got a couple of 8mm screws underneath here. You got 2 plastic 10mm screws that you'll need to remove. And then you have a bunch of little plastic clips kind of running up the side here that you need to pop off. I do highly recommend using kind of a trim clip remover tool. If not, you can use a flathead. Just be careful not to damage the clips. Then once you remove this panel, you'll be able to see the compressor. So let's go ahead and take this off, and then we're going to see what everything looks like underneath. And there we have it, our air suspension compressor system. Now we have all the air lines that you can see. They're running. They're a hard plastic airline. We have the compressor down here. And then we have the distribution block right there. Now, from what I can tell, the compressor still runs and it's still pumping out air. But the distribution block seems to be the issue. That's going to be our first replacement on this vehicle. If that doesn't fix it, we will then go to the compressor. In worst case scenario, we'll just revamp the whole air suspension system and go ahead and replace the rear air springs too, which are both out. But we're going ahead, and once that part gets in today, we're going to replace this, and then hopefully we'll be back to normal. Worst case scenario, this will be the next piece of the puzzle. So let's go on ahead and start disassembling. Alright, so we got everything out. The compressor has been pulled, so we can change out this filter while we're here, because obviously this has probably never been changed. And that the valve block is out. So valve block's right here. 2 little screws, 1 connector on the side here, and then 2 screws on the back. You couldn't see the screws in there. It's held in by 1 at the top corner and the bottom corner while it's sitting here. And then the compressor is held on by 3 on the 3 different things hanging upside down. Now you definitely want to support the compressor, because once you unscrew those, this thing is heavy. So it'll come right down on top of you. Alright, so we got the new valve block in. As you can tell, it keeps it nice and easy for you to kind of go back together with everything. Everything is color coordinated to the airlines, so makes it easier for reassembly. Don't go cheap to where they don't show the colors, because then if you mix up these airlines, the valves will not work properly, because you do have sensors on each and every section of this vehicle. Each corner has its own little level sensor, so it won't be able to air up properly. And do not reuse the original brass fittings on these. These do strip out and these do wear down. Use the new brass fittings that is on the part, and just all you have to do is there's a little tiny clamp you can see right there. You just pop that little clamp off right here, and this fitting slides off. Then you just slide the line into the new connector. Alrighty everybody, well we got it all back together, and unfortunately the compressor burnt out while it was reinflating. So the car is back on the ground, but this time all the way around. So we got a new compressor ordered up. Should be coming in tomorrow, hopefully. We did get it overnighted, but they say they have shipping delays, so we'll see exactly what happens. But yeah, this is what the vehicle looks like right now. Kind of a sliggity slam to the ground, you know. It's not like my ST, which was completely sitting on the pavement. But hey, you know what? It's sitting nice and pretty. Just kidding. We got to get this fixed. I'm not going to drive it like that. It'll tear up the CV axles and a lot of other stuff. And the last thing we want is to be spending tons and tons of money in driving this vehicle to where it can damage itself even more. So let's wait for that part to come in. As soon as it gets here, we're going to slap it on and we're going to go from there.
3 days later.
All right, everybody. Well, today's the day. We got our new suspension compressor. Came with a new relay, which you should always replace whenever you're replacing your air compressor, and then an R-Knot air suspension product. This does come with a limited lifetime warranty as well. So as long as it's installed properly, everything's functioning, you should be able to have a lifetime warranty on this product. And if I am correct, engineered and assembled here in the US of A. So let's go on ahead, get the right front wheel off, and we're gonna put in the new suspension compressor. All right, so here is the compressor right here we're about to replace. So you're gonna need a 12mm wrench to take this off right here so that you can remove that portion of the air line. And then we're going to plug everything back in. These right here are all 10mm all the way around. There's 3 of them. And support that compressor once again so that it does not fall out and fall onto you. The last thing you want to do is get hurt doing this. Just go ahead and pull it out and put in the new one. All right, so now that we got everything put back together, we have the wheel on, compressor installed, everything's tightened up. We're going to replace the air compressor relay. So if you really want to stay in good standing with the warranty with the R0, replace this relay. The relay that you're looking for is going to be on the passenger side fuse box. If you're looking at it, if you're standing at the front of the vehicle looking at it, the relay you're going to replace is this one right here. And it just unplugs. Same pinouts, everything matches, and then plug it right back in, and then put the top on your fuse box. Now we're going to go inside, erase the codes, test the systems, and see if we can get this baby to air up now. Alright, so the wheel is back on, new compressor's in, old compressor is out. Let's go on ahead. We're gonna get inside the vehicle, crank it on, and see if we are ready to rock and roll. Oh. So right now, the car is running, the air compressor is running and refilling every reservoir that's in this system. It's gonna take a little bit of a minute to get everything topped off and filled up, but the compressor is running and it is charging the systems. There is no malfunction lights on right now. So we're gonna give this a few minutes, let it start to rise back up, and then we're gonna take it out for a test drive and make sure that it is rocking and rolling. Boom, baby, back in business. Compressor filled up all the way around and much quieter now. So gonna take another quick little test drive, make sure everything is good as gold, but from what I can tell, looks like we're in the green. All right, well, let's go and take a look at the suspension, let it sit for a little bit. And, well, oh, fuck.